So in this video, I'm going to be talking to you about how to become a money magnet. How do you get in a position where money is just flowing to you from various different directions? And if you look at the market from a distance, money is not flowing equally in all directions to everybody. Money is flowing in a disproportionate manner towards certain positions, towards people who hold certain positions, and we call them people who are in power, people who are in positions of authority. If you notice the trend in any environment, in any room, in any company, in any country, the resources are flowing towards the people who have power and authority. We call them authority figures. And so if you just look at that trend, and if you just identify that and get closer to that position and ultimately take those positions, you would become the money magnet, because money is flowing to those positions. And if you place and position yourself there, money is going to flow towards you. So you have to look at the trend of the markets. You have to look at the trend of where the money is flowing. Let's look at the example of a company. Within a company, if you look at the pyramid, the corporate chart, at the bottom you have the employees, then you have the senior level employees, then you have board level, and then you have the shareholder level. All the money that comes from the customer, it goes straight to the top. And even within the top, there's going to be one or two individuals who are going to have most of that money. Those two individuals are the people who are in positions of power and authority. And it's not just in that particular company, but the positions that these people hold in other companies also, you will see a very similar theme and very similar trend. So what you want to do is you want to identify those positions and you want to put yourself in those positions. And the whole model that Dan Pena teaches is about buying businesses, is really about consolidation of these positions of power, where you find someone who is in that position, who has the power, but physically they are not in a condition to continue with that business. That business is making millions of dollars and most of that money is flowing at the top. And these people hold the power. These people are holding it, those positions tightly for the, last 10, 20 years. And they're not going to get off those positions if they are healthy. They will only get off those positions if they are feeling weak in their body, if their body is losing strength. And that's the opportunity for you to acquire these positions and hold these positions. The more positions you hold, the more positions you acquire and consolidate in one holding company, the more money you're going to have. Because you don't have to redirect the money coming to you. You just have to find where the money is already flowing and position yourself there. And that's the entire theme of mergers and acquisitions, is consolidation of positions which are attracting a lot of capital. That's why when you go to buy a company, you ask for their financials. What you're really looking at is what kind of a money magnet this person is, what kind of a money magnet this company is. They've done something right where the company is organized in a manner that all the money that's flowing in the market, a significant portion of that comes to them. They are the money magnet. And the person at the top is the real money magnet. And that's the person that you're dealing with and replacing. Because if you look at the law of nature, the strong overthrows the weak. So far, if the person was young and healthy, that person would not get off that position. But because the person is getting physically weak, this business, this position needs somebody young. It's very much like a kingdom, where the king is getting old and he wants somebody to take his place. Sometimes it's his younger minister, sometimes it's his son. If he doesn't have son, he will have to adopt someone or come up with some way through which a succession plan can take place so that these positions, can continue. And so that's what we are really doing to become money magnets is we are identifying people in positions of authority. First of all, businesses in positions of authority and power that's attracting a lot of money. And within that, we are identifying what's the top position making the most amount of money, and how can we structure a partnership with that person and have, essentially control over this enterprise and control over the market share that enterprise has. So that's how you become a money magnet. Coming back to authority, because everything flows towards authority positions, whether it's the government or banks or any institutions that hold authority or any people who hold authority, your relationship with these people is going to be critical. That's why at the beginning, in the initial steps of mergers and acquisitions, what we do is we create strategic alliances with people in positions of authority. If you align yourself with somebody who is not in a position of authority, maybe your friend, maybe your best friend, maybe some people from your neighborhood that do not hold significant positions of authority, money is not going to flow towards you because you are not holding a position of authority. So what you have to do is, those relationships were formed because these people were around you, in close proximity with you. What you would have to do eventually is start getting rid of those positions and think a little more strategically. If you want to make a lot of money, you have to think strategically. And you have to leave these positions, leave these people behind, which can be painful, and start seeking out relationships with people who hold positions of authority. And a combination of strategic alliances is going to lead you to yourself becoming an authority figure. Let me say that again. A combination of strategic alliances will lead you to become an authority figure yourself. Once you become an authority figure yourself, it's almost like money is going to find you because you've got power and you've got leverage. So let me give an example on the court. This seems like an abstract concept, but let me play this on court. I was one person in UAE. Nobody knew me. I started to seek out consciously. I first created a project plan, and then I started to seek out consciously people who were in positions of power and authority. I went through hundreds of LinkedIn profiles. I saw who were the people who hold positions of authority. And I found the CEO of a $3.5 billion company. Not only him, but many other individuals, people who held, chairman positions in banks. Imagine a financial institution in a country plays such a big role, and the chairman of that institution, obviously that person is in a position of authority and has held positions of authority. Me structuring a partnership with that person is going to rub that authority off of me. So I had him, I had several other individuals, founders of private equity firms. Again, private equity firms control a lot of capital. Money has authority, and these people control a lot of capital. The founder of that firm obviously has authority. I partner up with him, and I'll have authority in the region. So just by one strategic relationship, you could have all of that authority of the person that you reach out to. And you reach out to several people. And then with that, once you have that authority, you can keep building relationships with people who have authority. And you create this combination of relationships, of partnerships, where you have so much of authority. Then you have the ability to speak to banks. You get the top law firms and accounting firms, and your authority is gaining, you're gaining more and more authority, and you're gaining more and more power. And eventually, I started to find myself in meetings with public companies, meetings with, the big capital. I started to have meetings with royal family members. In one scenario, I had meeting with one of the senators in Netherlands, ex-senator. And this thing starts to take momentum, and you will start to become almost like a magnet. And it's not going to make sense right now because magnet seems to be a symbol, but this is exactly what happens because you start getting introduced to relationships. I was introduced to one of those royal family members through my existing partnership that I had with one of the shareholders, and he saw all of the other people involved, and he was like, let me introduce you. Similarly, another person that I met who knew who I was associated with saw that, who I was associated with, and he connected me to a public company who he had a connection with, and I was introduced there. So because I put in the work to create these strategic alliances, you create this sense of authority and power, which becomes the basis to attract a lot of capital. You can attract investments, you can attract debt, financing, and using that, you would leverage all of these relationships to then structure a partnership with a local business who has an old owner, and that person is in a position of authority, and you put it all together. So to summarize, strategic alliances with people in positions of authority will create your authority, and that becomes the basis for you to attract a lot of capital and to keep leveraging that capital to keep acquiring positions of authority. And before you know it, you have this sort of a flywheel of power where, you've created this network of alliances with a lot of powerful people. And, the only way you could do this is if you get rid of your existing relationships. And that's the painful part. And that's the ugly part of this, is because you would have to let them go because they're not in positions of authority. And if you have financial goals, it's a sacrifice that you have to make. And you will have to restructure your whole environment and your whole network of your relationships. It is a cliche. They say, your network is your net worth, but it's true because money comes from people. So you want strategic alliances, a combination of that. And that's exactly what the model of mergers and acquisitions is based on. Anybody who has gotten famous, anybody who's made a lot of money has done this in some way. Leonardo DiCaprio wouldn't have been Leonardo DiCaprio just basis of his talent. He needed somebody like Scorsese or, Spielberg or somebody in a position of authority and power, the network, the investors, right? And that's what makes his power. And then he launches, and then he has the support of the public, and support of the public is also a form of authority. And then, he makes a bunch of money, and he keeps getting more and more in a position of authority. Similarly, with Elon Musk, his ideas would not have manifested if he did not have, funding from the government, funding from the people, funding from so many sources, so that he could take things forward. So a lot of the ideas don't take shape, take form, is because of lack of strategic alliances. And I was training one of these German guys who was in his early 20s, and he didn't have a college degree, and he wanted to start a copywriting business. And he just developed this strategy that if I partner up with one really popular guy in copywriting, and if I get his endorsement, and if I give some of the cash flows to him, he's going to have the authority. So he partnered up with one of the top guys in copywriting, and through that strategic alliances, he had more credibility. He started to get clients, and he started to service them, and he created a business out of that one relationship. So you want to think in terms of power and authority. There is a dialogue in Scarface where he says, first you get the money and then you get the power. I would say first you get the power and then you get the money, right? Okay, so that's the video on how to become a money magnet. You want to become a figure of authority, a person of authority. How do you do that? You create strategic alliances, a combination of strategic alliances based on your project and the needs of your project. You have to identify people who are in the position you want to be in, and you want to create this network of relationships with them. Obviously, you will have to give some incentive to them for them to do that. And before you know it, you find yourself in this position where you pretty much have access to the whole city. When I put this thing together, when I put the combination of the partnership together, when I got the law firms, accounting firms, I started to meet bankers that have done $300 million deals, financed $300 million deals. These guys were were financing very large projects in UAE, and these guys were listed on the news. So I would do calls with these people, and I would research a little bit about them on Google, and then I would find out this person was in the news on this big deal that happened in the region. This big project was financed by so-and-so person from so-and-so bank. And I was like, holy shit, last week I was just talking to this person and now he knows me. And so that's what you do. And that's how you become the money magnet, by aligning yourselves with people in positions of power and influence, and identifying positions where the capital is already flowing and putting yourself in that position. If you can't put yourself in that position, you can create relationship with those people, and naturally a lot of that money would flow to you. So that's, as a general concept, I wanted to share how to become a money magnet. I'll talk to you soon.